The next subtopic we are going to learn is 8.4 interference of reflected light in thin films. Thin film is basically a thin layer of material that has a different index of refraction than its surrounding. Okay, so as you can see here, we have two pictures. Okay, the first picture you are very familiar with. This one is what we call as soap bubble. Okay, whereas on the surrounding of this, on the surface of this soap bubble, you can see a different color. And then this one, the second picture, usually you see this one on the ground where we have an oil, okay, covering up the surface of the ground. Okay, so these two pictures is actually the example of interference of reflected light. Okay, so how does this happen? Okay, so this happen is when we have three different medium. Okay, when the light has to travel in three different medium. Okay, so dekat sini as you can see we have oil and water. Okay, water, and then dekat atas dia, surface dia adalah oil, and since light usually will travel from the medium of air, so light will travel from the medium of air, and then when it hits the surface of the oil, okay, apabila light ni sampai dekat surface of the oil, okay, the light will be partially reflected. Okay, dia akan partially reflected, and then separuh lagi dia akan jadi refracted. Okay, and then sampai dekat sini sama juga, dia akan reflected ke sini. So we have two rays, ray 1 and then ray 2. So in here, untuk contoh yang ni, what happen is we have a constructive interference. Okay, so usually memang akan ada tiga different medium, or it can be here air, this one oil, and then dekat sini another air juga. So as long as there is a three layers, so there will be a three layers of the medium, there will be an interference that occur. So depending on the medium, okay, what kind of medium and what is the value for the n, okay, it depends on that. Okay, kita akan tengok adakah dia interference constructive ataupun destructive. Okay, so the first one, kita tengok dekat sini macam mana mau tentukan interference tu jenis apa. So we actually have two, what we call as in phase, and the second one will be anti-phase. Okay, this one is the first step. First step, we need to determine whether the interference is it in phase ataupun anti-phase. Okay, so how to determine this one? Okay, so let's say for this contoh dekat sini, this example here, di mana the first layer is air, second layer is soap, third layer is air. This one is actually contoh untuk this one, bubble soap, di mana this one bubble soap is on the air, light akan travel daripada the outer layer, this one, so this one will be the air, and then dia akan masuk dekat surface ni, di mana surface ni adalah the thin film, which is the soap. Okay, the soap bubble, and then dia akan on the hits on the other layer, sorry, on the other side, which is also the air. So which is why we have air, soap, and again air. Okay, so let me label this one first. This one is N1, N2, N3. Okay, so since light will be travel from the medium air, okay, macam yang Miss cakap tadi, apabila dia hits the surface of the soap, okay, it will be partially reflected, and then the other one will be reflected to this soap, and then again dia akan dapat benda yang sama lah. So we have two rays here. Okay, so this one kita akan mau tentukan is it in phase or anti-phase. How to determine this one? Okay, kita tengok the first path, di mana air pergi soap, which is here. Okay, refractive index of air is less dense the soap. So air dia adalah less dense, soap adalah denser. So the light travel from less dense to denser. So kalau from less dense to denser, there will be a phase change. So from less dense to denser, there will be a phase change. PC is phase change. And then soap to air. So soap dekat sini adalah denser, and then it will go to the air, which is less dense. So here meaning that from denser to less dense, there will be no phase change, NPC. So dekat sini PC will be phase change, NPC will be no phase change. So here, since satu ni akan ada phase change, the other one no phase change. Bermaksud dekat sini, okay, if PC and NPC, apa yang berlaku is it will be anti-phase. Sebab satu ada phase change, satu lagi tiada phase change. So dia akan jadi anti-phase. Okay, so just remember that one. PC and NPC will be anti-phase. Okay, so we look at the second one, where we have air, oil and ground. Okay, this one adalah contoh untuk yang the second one, which is this one, di mana kita akan ada the first layer, paling atas ni adalah air, and then this one is the oil, the thin film ni is the oil, and then it is on the ground. Okay, so we have air, light coming from the medium of air, and then dia akan reflected, and then akan masuk kepada oil, and then dia akan reflected balik apabila hits the ground. Okay, so air we know that N is equal to 1, oil dia punya N always larger than 1, and then ground, okay, refractive index there is very high. Okay, I'm not really sure what is the exact value, but because it is a ground, it will be very high. Okay, so we have ray 1 and then ray 2, and then here, okay, label dahulu this one N1, N2, this one N3. Okay, so first one daripada air kepada oil. So air is less dense oil. So this one adalah less dense pergi denser, meaning that dia akan ada phase change. There will be a phase change. And then the second one, from less dense to denser as well. Okay, from less dense to denser, meaning that there will be a phase change as well. So kalau ada dua phase change, dekat sini pun akan ada phase change, dekat sini pun akan ada phase change, bermaksud dia akan cancel out each other. So apabila dia cancel out each other, these two, okay, meaning that these two will be in phase, sebab dia sudah cancel out. Ada dua phase change. So dua phase change cancel out each other. So meaning that this reflection, we call it in phase. Okay, not reflection, interference. This one is in phase. Then the first one will be anti-phase. Ataupun angle dia adalah sama dengan kosong. This one, okay, sorry, angle dia, this one adalah sama dengan kosong. This one will be maybe pi or 2 pi, it depends lah. Okay, so just remember, if the light travel from denser to less dense, okay, denser to less dense, there will be no phase change. Less dense to denser, there will be a phase change. So this is how we determine whether the interference adalah in phase ataupun anti-phase. So selepas kita determine dia punya in phase ataupun anti-phase, barulah boleh determine whether it is constructive, okay, or destructive. So first step, always start with whether it is in phase or anti-phase, and then constructive or destructive. Okay, this one. Okay, how to see whether the interference adalah constructive ataupun destructive. So depends kepada keywords dekat sini. Okay, untuk constructive, keywords dia adalah strongly reflected, appears clearly seen, being observed ataupun bright. Because constructive interference always show some colors. And then for destructive, Okay, it will be non-reflective, missing, absent, unseen, dark, no light is found, reflection is eliminated. So these are the keywords for the destructive interference. Okay, so now you need to salin this table on your notes. Untuk lebih senang, kamu tengoklah daripada apa yang ada dekat dalam nota tu is not very clear. Okay, so just salin this one. Okay, macam yang Miss cakap tadi, first step kita identify dulu adakah dia in phase ataupun anti phase. Di mana kalau in phase, angle dia adalah kosong, anti phase, angle dia adalah pi. And then selepas tu, depends pada soalan, tengok keywords. Kalau dia cakap ada strongly reflected, this one or this one, meaning that it will be for constructive. So untuk in phase, constructive is 2nt is equal to m lambda. Di mana n dekat sini adalah the refractive index. And then T will be the thickness. T adalah thickness. Okay, N is the order, which can be 0, 1, 2 or 3. So depends kepada soalan. And then for destructive is 2nt is equal to m plus 1 over 2 lambda. So untuk anti-phase dia akan terbalik. Dia akan terbalik. So destructive is now for constructive untuk anti-phase. And then constructive is now for destructive untuk anti-phase. So yang paling senang, we just remember this one lah. Hafal satu, so untuk anti-phase dia akan terbalik. Okay, so for the value for M, okay, usually soalan akan minta the smallest thickness or minimum thickness. Okay, since kita dekat sini start from 0, 1, 2, 3. So if it's smallest thickness, kalau kita gunakan smallest thickness, if we use this formula, smallest thickness adalah sama dengan M sama dengan 1. Itu adalah the smallest thickness. You cannot put the 0 here. Kalau tidak, dia akan dapatlah kosong for everything. And then if you use this formula, smallest thickness will be equal to 0. So depends, sama juga. Formula ni dengan formula ni is the same thing. Smallest thickness is equal to 0. Okay, so please salin this jadual dalam nota kamu. And then we are going to see the example in the next video. Okay, that's all for 8.4. Thank you.